Welcome back to StoryTube, everybody. Today I am not talking about something that I've read. Today I'm talking about stuff that I'm going to read, planning to read, that I want to read over the next decade or so. This is a reading project that I've had on my mind for a long time now, and I've never quite consciously launched it, and I think it's time, and I think having the channel is giving me a real boost because it's something that I really want to document, and that is reading every Nobel Prize for Literature winner. So this is a pretty big project. I have a spreadsheet. The spreadsheet has been made. This is how you know it's serious. So the Nobel Prize for Literature has been awarded since 1901. There were a couple of years in the 40s mainly, and also in 1935 where there were no winners, but other years have more than one winner. So it's been awarded 116 times to 120 writers, 17 of them women. So if I go at a pace of about an author a month, that would take me 10 years. And that is roughly the timeline that I'm setting for myself. Now, there's no exact schedule. I'm just kind of going with the flow. It really depends on what kind of stuff I pick up. A lot of authors on this list are poets or essayists, and that would take a lot less time than reading a full-length 500, 600 page novel. So it could end up that in a year I read 20 of these. It could be that in 6 months I just read one. So I'm not really holding myself super accountable in terms of the pacing. The whole point is to kind of play it by ear. But yeah, the plan is to read at least one thing by every single author that has won the Nobel Prize for Literature. And it could also just be a short story. Now, if the author is mainly known for short stories, my aim would be to read a short story collection. But if I'm not feeling it at all, one or two short stories would also be enough. So again, I'm not limiting myself. I'm also not trying to do this in order, mainly because I don't really know any of the roughly 20 first names on the list. And I feel like if I try to do it in order, I'd fall off the project real fast. So I just want to pick at whichever ones appeal to me in the moment and kind of mix it up between more modern ones, older ones, short stories, poetry, drama, novels, whatever. Now I do have a little bit of a head start because there's a couple that I've already read, and I was hoping that it would be a tiny bit more than it is. But out of the 120 authors on this list, I, literature student that I am, have read 6. And those are, let's see if I remember, Hermann Hesse, who I've actually read a couple of novels by, 3, and he's one of my favorite authors. So that's a good start, right? Same goes for Gabriel García Márquez, who I've read 2 novels and 1 novella by. Pablo Neruda, who I read poetry by a long time ago, and I don't have a very distinct memory, but I'm still counting it. John Steinbeck, who I've read also several things by, Of Mice and Men and The Winter of Our Discontent. I also read The Golden Notebook by Doris Lessing, and I loved it. I read it when I was in college. And the last one that I tried is Ernest Hemingway, who I actually thought that I'd only read short stories, and I was all ready to say, oh, I'll give Hemingway another shot because I've only read short stories. And then I remembered that I actually read The Old Man and the Sea, which did absolutely nothing for me. So I'm counting Hemingway as read, but I might give him another chance. We'll see. I'm just not going to prioritize it straight away because he's the only one of the 6 so far that hasn't worked for me. I've actually really liked everybody else. And I mean, that's fine. I fully expect not to love everything on this list. But yeah, I might give Hemingway another chance at some point, but it's not a huge priority. So variety is the thing. I don't want to burn myself out. So depending on what I feel like, do I feel like short stories? Do I feel like poetry? Do I feel like essays? Do I feel like novels? I'm just going to throw in whatever I feel in the moment. However, there are a couple of authors that are pretty high on my list that were on my radar that I was excited for before I realized that they'd won Nobel Prizes, or before I really really seriously considered doing this project, and those might be prioritized a little bit sooner just because I already own the books. So just to give you an idea, some of those authors are, well, Kazuo Ishiguro, who wrote Never Let Me Go, The Remains of the Day, Clara and the Sun. He won, I want to say 2017. And I think Never Let Me Go will be the first one that I read of his, because I watched the movie a long time ago and I really enjoyed it at the time. And I've kind of been waiting to forget about the movie enough to go into the book not remembering quite what happens. So I'm really excited to finally read that book. Another one that I'm really excited for is Olga Tokarczuk or something like that. I am sure that's not how you pronounce it. She is Polish, and we have actually 2 of her books usually in stock in the bookshop where I work, and she sells quite well. And that's initially why I picked her up, because she really appealed to me and like how it sounds, and I heard good things about her. And I only realized very recently that she actually won a Nobel Prize, and that's why she sells. But I have her novel Drive Your Plow Over Something Something, and I'm very excited to try that one. I'm excited to try Toni Morrison. Carlos is more excited to try her than me, but I am looking forward to giving her a go for sure. And then the last 2 that I want to mention are Thomas Mann, who is a German author. I've actually read his son, Klaus Mann, who is a lot less well known, but I recommend that anybody check out Mephisto. But I've never read the original Mann. So I don't know which one I'll pick up. Probably Magic Mountain or Wooden Books, which are his 2 big famous ones. And the last one is Camilo José Cela, who is Spanish, and I learned about him in school. He wrote in like post-Civil War Spain and published in exile because his novels were deemed too political. And the one that I want to read, the one that appeals to me the most, is La Colmena, who I actually don't know how it's translated into English. It means beehive, literally translated, and it's kind of just about Spanish society in the 1950s and 60s, and it's just been on my radar for so long, and it feels like ticking a huge box. Speaking of, I actually forgot to mention another big one, and that is Mario Vargas Llosa, who is Peruvian, and I find that I generally tend to like South American authors from the 20th century and like contemporary ones as well. And I've been wanting to try them for a long time, so this will be an excuse. So this project is kind of an excuse for me to try a lot of highly regarded authors that I've been wanting to try for a long time, and also some new ones that are clearly highly regarded, but I have just breezed past them and I've not been very aware. So the plan is to also make videos for each author that I try. Maybe it'll be a review, maybe it'll be like a 40-minute discussion, maybe it'll be a 5-minute video of like, hey, I read this poetry collection. I don't know how to talk about poetry, so there we are. No kind of pressure, but I kind of want to end up with a body of work, a playlist capturing my experience with the Nobel Prize winners. So yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know if you'd like to join along and either read some of them yourself, or just, if you're interested in what my experience will be like. Have you read any of them? Who have you read? Who have been your favorites? Let me know. I think this is kind of it's just a fun thing. I don't take it too seriously. Like, it's not like I think that these 120 writers are the best writers of the last 120 years, not necessarily, but surely all of them have something to say, and that's what intrigues me about it. So yeah, I'll chat to you in the comments. That's kind of all for this initial video, and I'll see you soon. Thank you for watching.